audience. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever the pick time it is. Yes, I like doing this. Welcome to another Toonkind FPS. Woohoo!
Woot!
Alright, this one is Hoard of Secrets. Dear gods, mind the trigger warnings. You have been warned. We may get into stuff because Ivy Wild, I'm playing my wonderful monkey, and I am joined by, and this is where I get to go off, the absolutely fantastic, radiant, wondrous sibling of mine, incredibly numerous talents.
Hey, my name is Gale, aka Whirl or Whirlwind Gale, and this is the second time I have been murdered today.
I'm knife cat impressioning. You can't see it, but it's there.
I'm going to be playing Memoir, the He-Who Funky Crow Man.
The wonderful crow man that we love so much.
And he's more of a crow boy at this point, but
He's a crow picnic. He's a TikTok.
he is. He do a TikTok dance.
Ah, Christ on a bike.
I'm sorry, I am legally obligated to be cursed.
And I love and treasure you for it. I give you little forehead kiss. But without much further ado, shall we dive in?
Yes. Tell us. Give us our first scene.
Indeed. First of all, gotta roll the die as usual.
Roll them dice.
Alright.
Roll them dice.
Alright, that was gonna be an 88, but thanks to the advantage, that is a 10. So, she's honestly doing incredibly good on the fray points today.
Fucking fantastic. We love to see it.
And we open today on Paddy's out, Rye's out, everything's normal and calm at Lynn's place at Network. And between everything else, it's since nestling in. Lynn did figure out some stuff in that FPS because, by God, she is a smart monkey. And something she is keeping close to her chest on what she's deduced, but other aspects, she has behind the scenes gone back to Memoir on certain things, clarifying them, asking further questions, mapping things out. Because with what's coming, you need to plan for war.
Any information's good information.
Indeed. And as she's been looking at all of this, you'd have to be a fool when looking at a giant board not to notice just how much stuff piles up. Just how much stuff there is to process through all of this. And for our audience, I'd like you to imagine quite literally Lynn in Network taking long steps back from a giant board on everything that she's figured in relation to, well, that Memoir has been her. There are the 7. Everything in between, including all that Lynn has now deduced after, well, enough people all linked being got by a certain someone. And this kind of stuff is not healthy for one informant to have, along with everything else that's happened to this certain informant slash TikTok slash nephew. She's got to check up on him. She's got quite a few thoughts on that. She really has to check up on him. Oh yeah, I need to. Yeah. Okay. So just away she goes, slap everything on the door as per usual, form Network, and make her way over to where she presumes Memoir's gonna be. Memoir's hotel room. Mm-hmm. I shall do more word rambling. Just gods, Monkey having so many thoughts. Monkey is putting on the hat for this one. Well, metaphorically. It's going to be a mixed approach. Mm-hmm.
Okay, hi. I'm back. Sorry, the dogs are barking.
You are so valid and I treasure you.
We've got landscapers here. But yeah, so Lynn, you head over to Memoir's hotel room.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, where you assume he spends most of his time, but you look through, you look through the sliding glass door that leads into the hotel room from the balcony, because I know you, and I know you certainly didn't fucking go through the lobby like a sane person.
This is Anquil, bitch. None of us go through the lobby.
Memoir goes through the lobby, and he fucking lives here.
We can all have our quirks.
Dogs are still barking. I apologize if that picks up on recording.
All right.
But you look through the sliding glass door, and there are no signs of life inside. No lights are on, nothing's moving. There's no steaming cup of tea on the counter. There is nothing to indicate that this is a place where a person is currently residing. I swear to God, I'm going to strangle the smaller one of my dogs. Please stop barking!
Bless you.
Somewhere in the
But then
distance, a small dog is having a fit.
Lynn is just slowly tuning out the dog because there is a case to be had. There is a memoir loose somewhere. And she did look in as she went past the cafe, and she doesn't think he was with Phasmus today. And he's not here. I mean, maybe he's with his father, or maybe he's somewhere else, or maybe something has happened. Nope, we're not going down that path. We are just going to breathe because therapy has been important. And we are going to use the smart method. Why did I not think of that first? It ain't, hang on. Where did I put? Ah, there you are, you little pick. And she is just going to roll up her sleeve on one side and show a bangle that she has on. Or bangle, bracelet, wire construct from a very beloved TikTok.
A very fun little shiny thing that has a funky design towards the middle of it, that has a bright gold piece of glass suspended in the middle of a design that invokes the image of the sun.
Mm-hmm. Nice gold with pumpkin orange sheen to it, point, seeing as you've said it relates to magic.
Mm-hmm.
And so she just goes, okay. Okay, let's see if I can do this right. And she just puts her hand on it and focuses. And just, Memoir, wherever the heck you are, you're getting the knock knock on your door.
The mental knock knock knocking on Memoir's door.
It's in Lynn's normal beat of just, Memoir, Memoir. I know you're in there, Memoir.
There is a moment where you don't get an answer, which gives you the indication that he is deeply distracted by something, because it's not the same feeling of not being able to connect that was unfortunately present for about a month there.
She will remember the rest of her days, yes.
It's a different feeling. It's more of a it's more of a someone's on the other side of the door, but they've got the music on loud and they're very distracted. So for a minute, you don't get an answer. But after that minute passes, the door does swing open, and there's that, friendly, warm greeting of just a gas lamp being turned on at night, and, the sound of ticking clockwork and falling rain, the moments when both of those things first start to happen that
Mm-hmm.
you have come to associate with Memoir and know is his way of saying hello.
Mm-hmm. And he gets right back the enthusiastic hello greeting, great to see you, and a clock in a film reel for a moment of just, yeah, that's my TikTok. Hi, I love you. And followed immediately afterwards by this mental impression of what you assume is the stagehand. Where the pick are you? Just the mental impression of Lynn kicking in many doors. Just the, not in a distressed way, but in the, I want to find you. Where are you? Where are you? I will look everywhere. I will look under the kitchen sink if I must.
There's the memory of many different times that Memoir has laughed at something, just amused laughter ringing across the connection. Um, Before you get an echo response of, um, you get a mental image of an old, worn down barn in the woods with a big old duck pond next to it that has a nice big willow tree hanging over it. And gold light spilling out from the doors and from the hayloft of this barn.
There is a feeling of something soft back. Curious and intrigued and interested in just, oh, this place looks nice. This place looks cozy. This is where you are.
This is where he is.
Mm-hmm. And there is just Lynn just kind of processing that, nodding. And then she's going to start making her way just. She probably keeps her hand, like, on it. She can climb very well. Climb back down, make sure everything's fine. And then just starts making her way out there. Just, there is a. It feels pleased in a way. It feels warm. It feels like having Lynn at your side, Memoir.
Mm-hmm. One question, does Lynn actually know how to get there?
She's gonna start walking, and the reason why she's kept her hand on it is the kind of that nudge of just the connection isn't closed. Memoir, can you figure out that she's making her way, but she needs you to guide?
He's distracted, so let me have my boy roll intelligence.
Roll intelligence, my boy.
Oh, that is a 16. He is distracted. But he is not so distracted as to not recognize that, oh, wait, you've never actually been here, have you?
There is almost the moment he almost like trailed off, there is almost like the tap tap, like over a phone line sort of thing of just, you still there? Kid, you're forgetting something, kid?
Yeah, there's that tap tap, and just for a moment, um, for a moment, you get kind of Memoir going through a list of different people he's brought to the barn. So, you get a snippet of a mental image of Memoir and Phasmus in the barn, helping clear it out, working together to clear it out and tidy it up. You get a mental image of Memoir and Craigery actually up in the hayloft of the barn having a conversation. Memoir almost falling out the hayloft window and Craigery pulling him back in by the wrist. You get the mental image of a conversation with Gibbs, kind of just lying on the floor of the barn in the middle, and then just a sort of like blank space and just, oh shit, I haven't shown you how to get here yet.
There is the mental impression of just Lynn's laughter in the aunt style, just the absolutely fond, but just this kid, bless them.
It's the bless your heart laughter.
Yeah.
Um, there is sort of a sheepish response from Memoir, and then, Lynn, you're pretty familiar with Halloween Town by now, so you know how to get to the junkyard, yeah?
Yep. She does just go on walks on just days when she's not got anything. Just go places to sketch. Or just go, hey, surprised me, and just walks. She absolutely knows where the junkyard is. I should probably have her roll survival just for the Kara, are you gonna play nice?
Yeah, because
Alright, let's.
the first location Memoir is giving you is the entrance to the junkyard.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, survival, survival. What's your survival modifier? I know you have one. Alright! Even if Kara's doing anything today, it's just, nope, I'm on a mission.
This is a monkey on a mission.
Yep. That is an 18.
Nice. Yeah, you get to the entrance of this junkyard pretty quickly, and the image in your head changes from a static image of just the entrance to the junkyard to almost a mental path for you to follow, leading you from the entrance through the junkyard around what looks like, a dilapidated brick structure, through to the back of it to a set of train tracks.
Huh. Alright. That makes sense. We've got trains here. Huh. And so she does, just as she's going along, she does take it all in as though she's listening to the instructions and also memorizing the route herself.
Mm-hmm.
And she is a smart monkey. She does go train surfing and such. She does know to look both ways and make sure, hey, not an actual train coming.
Yeah, no. You can hear a distant train whistle, but it's not close enough to give you any threat yet. Which is good because the next instruction Memoir gives you is, okay, you have to jump over the train tracks now.
Immediate hop. Just, there is the quick second and then just, okay. And then that kind of just, I'll have Memoir roll insight when Lynn's at the barn, but until then it's just, just hop over and then the, okay. Next.
On the other side of the train tracks from the junkyard is kind of the woods around Halloween Town.
Mm-hmm.
And
Not a fun place for terrorizing people.
And the mental image Memoir gives you indicates like a tiny, 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 barely there, rough worn path. Like almost a deer trail more than any sort of actual pathway.
Mm-hmm.
The kind of path that, gets worn down by people moving across it, but hasn't been used for a long time. And he kind of shows you where it is between two trees, but you are going to have to roll investigation to try and find it.
You got it. All right.
What you got?
I got a 19.
Yeah, okay. You're the detective. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So you approach these two trees and you find them pretty easy. And you find the path, and I'm going to say you don't actually need too much instruction as you go further into the woods, because you catch the things that Memoir has used to mark the path. Because they're
Mm-hmm.
subtle, but they're there. He's basically picked up a habit of um, tying green ribbons around some of the branches of the trees to mark the way into the woods.
Mm-hmm. And she follows. She is good at tracking things, good at hunting. She
Mm-hmm.
is oh, she's a detective. She knows how to find signs and patterns and indicators.
Mm-hmm. And she follows this trail of, I called them ribbons, but it's really more of just green dyed twine. And it's really, really easy to miss because it blends in well with the tree branches. Like, even with a 19, there are a couple moments where you do have to do a double take to notice how well it's been hidden.
Mm-hmm.
Which kind of gives you the impression that you would not find this place if Memoir did not want you to find it.
Mm-hmm. And she is treasuring that Memoir is letting her come here instead of going, I'll be right over to the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
It's she gets the feeling that this place is really important, especially as so few have come.
Mm-hmm. Um, yeah, it as you get deeper into the woods, it still feels like Halloween Town. It still has that energy. It still has that color palette, that tone, that general vibe, but
Mm-hmm.
it feels almost more secret.
Mm-hmm.
You have found a secret garden within Halloween Town. You know that as you enter this part of the woods, that this is some place that is really old and hasn't been touched for a while outside of very specific trusted people.
And here Memoir is fixing it up.
Mm-hmm.
That kid that kid is a restorationist.
And you, as you're thinking that, you follow this path and it finally kind of lets out into a wide clearing, into sort of a field. And that barn stands at the middle of this field. Um, and roll perception for me.
Will do. Then you didn't have to roll that high, but okay. What is that in? Da, 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 that's an 18 plus 8. Do, 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 do. I love finally figuring out the average. 26.
All right. So you are walking over walking out into this field, this clearing. Um Grass is tall here. Memoir may have been fixing the place up, but he didn't do much in the way of landscaping. But among the grass, you also notice wild red poppies that you didn't notice in the echo image. There are just
Hmm.
little details that the echo image didn't catch, like the wild red poppies that are dotted all over the field, like the little ducks that glide over the surface of that pond and, play around under the willow tree, like the grain silo in the far distance. It's a quiet, dreamy sort of place, but it's comfortable. It's safe. This feels like a safe place.
She does actually stop for a moment, like, actually taking all of this in. Like, she has been strolling along, like, thumbs hooked in her pockets of her skirt, just once Like, she has been keeping on the echo so that it was kept up live, but she is also just treating this as safety. There isn't a reason to be paranoid. And as she's just standing there, memoir, roll me insight.
Absolutely. Let's see, that's +7. All right, that's a 15.
There are two aspects that you get in just in the moment as Lynn's looking over all of this stuff. She's keeping the echo message live, so you do get this snatch of what she's seeing in that moment, in that she's looking at this field, at those ducks, at the willow tree blowing in the mild breeze, at the poppies and everything. And for a split moment, you see all change just slightly, as though she's not seeing what's actually there, or she is. She's figuring out how to capture it in a drawing, in a painting. She's thinking of drawing this later. And the other side of this you get is memoir possibly quite surprising for you in that Lynn, as she is a chaotic ball of energy and chaos and everything in between, swearing up a storm and bouncing. As she's come through here from that original, where the peck are you, to now, it's almost as though it's shifted into something calmer, something older. Still her, still Lynn, but, well, you know there are different sides to her.
Mm-hmm.
And after a moment of all this contemplating, she does just make her way up. I'm gonna roll hamster based. Yep. As she goes past the duck pond, there is just puts her good hand in her pocket and then just throws some sunflower seeds into the pond, because I know for a fact ducks love sunflower seeds.
Oh, absolutely. You see these little yellow and white ducks that are swimming around on this pond, because you got the little itty bitty baby ducklings, and then you got the older white ducks that are just swimming around there, and they immediately start pecking at these seeds. You have won the respect of the guard ducks.
Good day to you little quackers.
Um, and you walk around the barn. You walk up to, I assume you walk up to the big doors first, right?
Mm-hmm. And she will be knocking on them. Like, even though she's been invited, she does still knock.
Mm-hmm. And assuming the echo communication is still open,
Mm-hmm.
there's a mental sensation of just a shake of the head, and then almost a feeling of a hand on her shoulder and someone guiding her around to the other side of the building.
Ah, yes. Who uses the front door, eh?
Memoir
And
just sends her the mental image of trying to move those fucking doors. They're heavy.
I'm a barbarian. I'm a barbarian. I could. I totally could. But yeah. Alright, alright. And she does just go. It's she being nudged, she go.
And that leads out to sort of a side entrance where it's still a set of double doors, but these ones are a bit smaller. These ones, are more person sized, less get in a large animal or large piece of machinery sized.
Mm-hmm.
The doors out front, you could fit an elephant through those. These doors, you could fit a horse.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she gets that, especially just, yeah, it makes sense. She's going to the normal doors.
And those doors are already wide open. Because it gets stuffy in the barn. You need a nice breeze. Um,
Mm,
and as as she approaches, um, she can she can hear the sound of something being hit with a hammer. Just the ping of a hammer hitting a nail and driving it deeper into wood.
hmm A sound she's very familiar with, seeing as I gesture at her son, Rai, who's really into carpentry.
Mm-hmm.
It just, she does come in, just like doors wide open, and she does still knock as she comes in, just, yes, you know where she is through echo, but it's just polite.
Mm-hmm. And
And hey, you don't exactly want to yell when someone's using a hammer.
and Memoir, who is over in his workstation, working on restoring what looks like a dining room table, which could seat like 10 people. Like, that is a 10-person table right there. That's a big fucking table, and it's a solid piece of wood. Um, but he sets the hammer down on the table surface and he looks up and he wipes his hands off on a rag and waves to Lynn with a small smile.
And she does just wave back with her good hand, just go, "Hey, Memoir, good to see ya."
Evening. Good to see you too.
Mm-hmm. And I see you're hard at work, eh? Let's take a look at this. And she is just coming over. Just once she's put her arm down, it is just thumbs back in those pockets, just leisurely stroll over. She is relaxed.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to roll investigation on the table?
I would like to investigate the table. This is a joke. Now one, she sees a mimic.
No.
15. 15 plus something. See, investigation plus 6, so yeah.
21.
Give me the details of this goddamn table.
It's. God, I mean, what do you want to know? It's. I will note you can't identify the wood, which gives you the mental impression that this thing comes from outside of Inkwell. Um, it's it's solid. All of the pieces seem like they were carved from one solid piece of wood. Like the tabletop is one solid piece, and then the sort of base is one solid piece, but the base isn't legs like you would expect on a dining room table. Instead, it's more like a picnic table. You know how picnic tables will have like those T bracket legs on either side?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's like that. Um, and it even has like the benches that go across. But really, what really catches your eye, Lynn, is looking at those base, looking at that base, looking at those, supports for the table, is just a sketched out, half finished, and incredibly detailed carving that's just a combination of lots of different little images. It's poppies and it's gears and it's rosemary sprigs and it's other things too. It's God, sorry, I'm coming up with this on the spot.
Mm-hmm. Hourglasses?
No,
Hmm.
it's cards and coins, it's feathers and lightning bolts, it's pumpkins and it's eyes and it's squares and it's hearts. It's all of these little symbols just intricately and delicately woven together with one another.
out of character, I go, "Aw," and "ooh." In character, there is probably just this pleased hum from Lynn and a low whistle of just, now that's fine craftsmanship.
I figured it could use a little bit of extra detail. I found it out in the junkyard, and, well, no one had touched the poor thing for centuries. I figured she could use a couple extra details, maybe a fresh coat of wax, something to remove those god-awful splinters, and so far she's coming across wonderfully. She's taking it very well, and he just, you know, that way sometimes someone will affectionately scruff the fur of a dog? He just does
Mm-hmm.
that, but instead of scruffing the fur of an animal, he's just running his hand over the wood of the table.
Lynn, who has done this to Network so many times, just, yeah, she gets it. She gets it. Ah, well, she's got a fine person helping her along. Do good with these sorts of things.
I do my best.
Mm-hmm. And it's picking fantastic. And Lynn does just, as she's been standing by your side as she inspected all of this, and she does just loop her arm around around you and just, she's short. You're similar-ish heights a little bit, so she's just like pulling where she can reach, so you're getting a side hug. It's the pleased auntie hug.
Lynn also will get a bit of a hug back with just one wing just sort of looped around her.
Good times, good days. All right. Anyway, good to see you today.
Yeah, what brings you out this way? I'll admit I was planning on showing you the way here myself. I didn't expect you to come looking for me. Is something wrong?
No, nothing's wrong. No one's in any trouble or anything. Don't worry. Ah, I just wanted to talk to you, I guess.
Okay, what kind of talk are we talking about? Like case talk or I'm afraid the dreams haven't shown me anything new in regards to plot talk. If it's event talk, we can sit down on the couch over there. If it's emotions, I've got the nest upstairs. What are we looking at?
Yeah, I think nest might be a good idea. Yeah, let's go to your nest, kiddo?
All right. Uh, and he kind of looks down at his clothes, and he's in very much, you know, his work outfit, which is not his usual. It's not his usual attire. It's, you know, the brown cargo pants and the white tank top, and he looks it over and just says, I'm currently covered in sawdust. You head on up, and I will meet you there after I change.
I have got prestige if you need it.
And he just waves. He just waves and says, "No, I've got it covered."
All right, I'll see you up there, TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
And it is something that Memoir will note in that she doesn't run or dash or just bolt up there like he's prone to seeing her doing. It is a calm walk.
She's welcome to. Well, actually, no, she wouldn't have a way to notice this, so I'm just gonna say it out loud, and Lynn's not gonna know.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing all of this, seeing her attitude, his immediate thought is, okay, no one's in danger yet, but something is definitely up.
Kid. Bless him. Bless him, Your Honor.
This is not the Lynn he knows. The Lynn he knows is loud and bright and chaotic. This is calm, almost melancholy Lynn, and that's concerning. That makes him worry that, oh, something is wrong.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's better than the oh holy shit manic everywhere Freyan sort of one, but yeah, bless him.
So he steps into his storage room and gotta roll hammer space. All right, he pulls out a set of PJs and switches into those, and then heads upstairs. Still keeping his boots on because boots are comfy.
Yeah, boots are comfy.
Um, Lynn, you've got a minute kind of to yourself up in the nest, while you're there, and this, God, you stepped into this clearing and you knew you were in a safe place, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the heart of that safe place. This is where that feeling of safety is strongest. This is just, the nest is a pile of blankets and pillows and comfort and softness that just stacks on top of itself and wraps around itself into just, this is someplace you can rest. This is someplace safe.
Bless. Yeah, this'll do good. And she does, you know, it's not, the word I'm looking for isn't quite an elegant sit, but it is the fold your legs under yourself, just, you know, the dainty lady sit, but actually looking good.
Mm-hmm.
The hands in lap sort of one.
Lynn, you're acting so dignified. What's wrong?
She can do this sometimes as a treat.
Almost in contrast, Memoir comes up the stairs and he kind of smiles at her. He walks over to the big bay doors that lead into the hayloft. You know, he throws the latch, he throws them open. Um, there's a minute where he kind of teeters on the edge, lets himself fall, but then flaps his wings to catch himself and flies back up.
The microsecond of oh shit. Like there is the moment where she was this close to pushing off with her hands and just lunging. Like the like that split second of just slightly open jaw sort of thing, and then just okay, no, this is no more. Just tick tock why. In her head, just the fond tick tock why I'm going to go grey before I'm 30.
And he's just kind of giggling because flying good, flying comfy. He likes flying.
And he is such a soft boy, and we love him.
You get the vibe that he intentionally falls out the window every time he opens it up here.
Grey hairs. Grey hairs.
And almost in contrast to, Lynn's prim and proper dainty sit, he just walks back over and then flops down amongst the pillows and blankets.
Comfy kiddo.
And he just hums happy and just says, very.
Ah, that's good. That's good.
Alright, so what's wrong?
As I said downstairs, nothing's wrong. No one's in chaos. There's no major event. I just
That doesn't mean nothing's bothering you. And you don't act like this usually.
I act like it on occasions when needed. how you been, Memoir?
I've been all right.
Alright, good, good. And, your dad? Raph, he doing good right now?
As well as you can be. We've
I'm
been
glad.
keeping in closer contact. Neither of us is quite ready to stop doing, nightly check ins, make sure everyone's still okay. You know, I visit at least once a week, whenever possible.
That's good, that's good. It's good to have connections and bonds. Feel good. And you're going to therapy still? All going well on that front?
Mm-hmm. He kind of
Good.
smiles and says, "Yeah, I've been going. It's been it's been interesting, but nothing new to report really. Just the latest shenaniganery."
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good to hear. I'm glad we're both doing well in therapy on that front, and I'm presuming, well, speaking of shenaniganery and things before that, I guess the best way of saying it is blunt on just how you're processing.
Processing what?
And there is memoir. If you're looking at Lynn, there is almost this expression on her face that is soft. Just soft in that slightly somber way. You can see how the corners of her eyes, the little lines there, are just present for a moment. She just goes, how you're processing everything that happened with Thrall, kiddo.
He just shrugs. He just says, "Well, I've dealt with the physical consequences as best I can, and I've been working with the mental consequences. I've got them mostly under control. Um, you know, haven't haven't wound up. I haven't wound up using the completely wrong terms of emotional connection with someone yet. So I'd call that a win. I'm doing pretty well."
Well, that's good. That's real good memoir. But something I noticed is we've talked about what happened right before, and we talk about the consequences. Have Have you talked to anyone about your time in between?
And he kind of hums, and you see those feathers behind his ears ever so subtly, like, flatten back a bit. And he just kind of shrugs and says, "Can't see why it wouldn't matter.
I,
Haven't talked because no one's asked."
and that's just it, isn't it?
Hmm?
Oh, memoir. And she does reach out, and there is just her left hand just gently resting on you for a moment. She just goes, I can't believe I didn't actually recognize this sooner, but how many secrets do you have, kiddo?
Is it a secret if you're not keeping it intentionally?
That's just it. You are, Memoir, a secret keeper. You hoard those secrets, a bit like a crow. And you don't tell us if we don't ask. Because you, from what I can deduce, you don't realize we don't know. Memoir, what's in your head? It's not a universal fact.
I know that. He just kind of looks at you a little funny and says, I know that you don't know. I just can't see why you would need to know. I am happy to tell people anything they want to know the answers to, but I mean, take it from an expert. Information you don't want is not information you necessarily need.
Take it from another expert. Sometimes it's still good to share. So, and she runs her thumb where she can reach, and then she puts her hand back in her lap and then just goes, tell me about it. That time, eh?
Not much to tell. He kind of shrugs and rolls his shoulders, and he lets his wings sort of flop open, spreading behind him, and just stares up at the ceiling, up at some of the golden lanterns he has hanging from the rafters, and says, There's not much to remember. Well, there's not much to say because there isn't much I remember. The first day or so was relatively boring. I just headaches, wasn't able to get out of bed. I kept thinking, okay, this'll pass by morning and I'll be up and at him and don't traumatize his hair and back home before you can say hopscotch. And it just kept not happening, and eventually he shrugs and just kinda slept. Oops.
I'm going to roll deception for Lynn. Not an incredibly bad one, just. Okay.
You're also
But
welcome to roll insight if you
yeah,
want.
she absolutely will be, yes.
But what is that 27 hiding? I'm very curious.
You will. It's it's that moment of closing her eyes and just very soft, dignified breath at how he's saying these things, because she knows how he was in the end. And she's good at her job. She knows that that was poisoning and everything else therein. And just the way he's talking about it is just something that is slightly breaking her heart and slightly making her go, oh, kiddo, in her head. It's just that absolute somberness. And I'm going to roll that insight now. Da, 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 da. 16 plus 6.
Alright, that's 22, yeah?
Yep.
So you're looking at Memoir and you've been around him enough to kind of know his body language, and you are a detective. This is your job. So you pick up on something that is almost an alien concept when it comes to Memoir.
Mm-hmm.
His body language, his expression, both are slightly guarded. Not in the sense of I don't trust you, not in the sense of I am lying to you, more in the sense of the casual way he talks about it isn't quite a front, but it's almost like he's trying to get it over with quickly. Trying not to go too in depth about it because details make it too real.
Mm-hmm. And Lynn is going to take this and match it with things that she's seen in the past. Namely, memoir does put on faces to an extent, in a way similar to how she does. Positivity and cheer, that very much extreme positivity in memoir sometimes. And in all of this now. Don't think about it and it's not a problem. Alright. Alright. And what about... Tell me about Matthias, or Thrall, or whichever name you would feel better using.
I mean, I've told you all I know that I think could be useful.
Don't tell me about useful. Tell me about you. Don't tailor it, just talk. I'll listen.
And there's kind of an intake of breath and just, all right, remember you asked me to.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say I feel the same about them as Gregory does. I can't. I They were kind. They were kind to me. They we met in a library and I didn't have much to do. I was keeping myself busy, trying not to think too much about well, too much about the few days before, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, you can only do so much to get the screams of a dying woman out of your head. Electric chair is a nasty way to go.
I know.
And he kind of smiles and mutters something under his breath, which sounds suspiciously like the bitch deserved it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but they met me in a library and we talked, and they were so smart and they were so friendly and they seemed so impressed by what I could do. Not in a way that most people are impressed, but in a way that, they seemed like they wanted to know more. And it seemed like they had an issue that I could help them with. And I mean, you know me, I like to help. So, of course, I went with them. I offered to help. And
Mm-hmm.
gosh, we got to their manor and we got in, and they have such an impressive library. It was so much knowledge, and their home is a guardian. He smiles and says, I I knew I was in a place with a like mind, with an understanding that what's past should not be forgotten, that if we ignore or reject history, we're doomed to repeat it, and therefore we should keep a hold on history as best we can. And they showed me their archive, they had me translating things, and it was incredible. I'd never seen so much knowledge. And, well, I guess I got a little carried away because next thing I knew, I had a headache and I was on the ground. And they were so kind to me. They helped me. They healed me and they brought me up to a room, and in their manner so that I could rest. And they brought me tea and helped me get my shoes off. They were kind. I can't I can't reconcile that kindness with everything else that I know. It's a bit uncanny. I mean, the person whose voice was able to help me rest better than anything, who was willing to put their hand over my eyes to block out the light when it hurt me, the person who brought me tea and assured me that the ghosts were gone and gave me something to protect me from spirits they didn't even think were there. They were my friend.
Mhm. And how's everything feeling now you're out with new information?
He shrugs. They lied. That's okay. People lie a lot.
But it's not okay, is it?
There's nothing that can be done about it.
It can still be addressed, even if it's just us talking about it. And people lie to us, it hurts. And they use us when they manipulate situations, prey on us and how we feel.
You're mistaken. I chose to go with them. I everything that happened that it was my fault. I chose to go with them. I chose to help them. I chose to believe them. They lied, but I didn't exactly ask questions.
Are you looking at Lynn in any way, Memoir?
Yes, out the corner of his eye, but yes.
He sees the way there has been that calm expression on her face this entire time, and it just deepens slightly, and she is shaking her head, just going, "No, kiddo. No. What happened wasn't your fault."
I know that.
Do you?
Lynn, it's hardly
Because
Lynn, it's hardly like I put the idea in their head to come and take me. Well, technically I did, but I have
and
no
yet
control over the actions of others. I have control over my own reactions to them. I have my control over the way I interact with others, but I don't control what other people do. It wasn't my fault that they made that decision. It was my fault I went along with it.
yet you sound like victim blaming. Memoir. Thrall is a master of divination and enchantment, with centuries of practice on so many people to get what they want. Again and again and again. You were less than a year old. The genre that relied on trust and belief in your clients and people you were helping. And you were in an incredibly emotional state, given the circumstances of the past few days. Were you easy to kidnap? Or were they a master of setting up the chessboard and knowing how you'd react?
I mean, it's hardly like they knew I'd be there.
They had opportunity. And they snatched it. They're very good. They're a mastermind, Memoir. They know how to lead people. They know how to lead a lamb to slaughter.
Oh boy, Lynn, there is a smile on his face at that term, and it's not a pleasant smile.
Oh, no. Internally, there is that immediate sinking feeling, because, oh, she knows that kind of smile.
It's not quite the smile that Memoir does when he's trying to intimidate someone. It's not that wide Cheshire Cat crescent moon smile that splits his face in half and clips off the edges of his line work.
Mm-hmm.
It's a small, bitter smile. The kind that's trying to be the smile you have when you're laughing at an inside joke, but when that inside joke is something that's inherently unkind. He kind of laughs and says, funny you should use that, Tim. I mean, the lamb going to the slaughter doesn't exactly realize what's happening, do they? And I suppose that's appropriate. I didn't either.
But you have a right to feel angry about it, or to want justice, or any other range of emotions.
Justice for what? He kind of laughs and says, for there to be justice, there needs to be a crime. For there to be a
And
crime in this sort of case, there would need to be a lack of consent, but what you don't seem to understand is I agreed every step of the way. What you don't seem to be comprehending, Lynn, is that I went along willingly. I went with them willingly. I was there willingly. I was there by choice. They did not drag me kicking and screaming. They did not hurt me. They did not force me. I went by my own will at their side.
if anyone else was saying this, you'd see it. Manipulation. Manipulation is a powerful thing, Memoir, and anyone else was saying this, you'd be seeing it as victim blaming, but because it wasn't your fault. And they did pick and harm you, kiddo. Your insides. What happened to you? You couldn't move. You have internal scarring, kiddo.
Nothing that anyone could prove. It all comes down to evidence, Lynn. And ultimately, it doesn't matter what I feel. Ultimately, I shouldn't be asked what I feel in this situation because you're not going to get an answer you're satisfied with. And Lynn, there is a sharp and bitter tone to his voice as he says this. It is more angry than anything you have ever heard come out of Memoir's mouth. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I feel about the situation. It doesn't matter what I think. And even if it did, asking me would only put more wrenches in the works, only cause more problems. Because I don't blame them, Lynn. They they saw an opportunity and they took it. I don't blame them for that. Sure, what they did was cruel. Sure, it wasn't exactly, moral behavior, but it's not like they took me to torture me. They took me because they needed information and I could translate for them. You know, the fact that that's all they wanted me for, notwithstanding. And you can roll insight as he just kind of starts rambling. He starts
Mm,
talking and he's angry and bitter, but that smile on his face just keeps getting wider.
there is something that she can draw a parallel with that. Not to the thing, but to something else. And I'm going to roll that insight. Okay, Lynn. Tell me your secrets, memoir. 25.
Lynn, you hear him starting to ramble about how, you know, he's saying he's not angry in that tone of voice. He's saying he doesn't blame them. He's saying they didn't hurt him in that tone of voice. And you can tell that there is the tiniest cracks in the polish. There is the littlest moments of realization of something coming through as he keeps in his rambling keeps coming back to what he said of for justice to be necessary there needs to be a crime. And he keeps going and listing things that would be crimes that they didn't do. Hey Lynn, has Memoir ever told you what most of his cases wind up being?
I think he has, but would you like to say for our audience?
The funny thing, the stories that Memoir works in are greatly inspired by Ace Attorney. And the fun
Mm-hmm.
thing about Ace Attorney is that you don't get a good story out of. You don't get a story out of just a larceny case, out of just something being stolen, out of someone being somewhere at the wrong time. You know what makes a real good story? Murder makes a real good story.
Mm-hmm. But
How's Lynn doing?
it's surprising how still, even through all of this, just how calm she still is. That dignity. Oh, her heart is breaking at seeing memoir like this. Especially as she has seen herself in that smile in some ways. And she is listening to him, and then she will just very quietly just go, Memoir, they were poisoning you. They were keeping you in a state just before death. A fate worse than death. That is a crime.
You you don't get you don't get an answer. There's a long moment quiet of You can practically hear the gears turning. You can hear Memoir's mind moving. You can hear the things that just don't quite fall into place right. And you hear almost as though you're hearing ghosts, almost as though you're hearing whispers, just phantom snippets of bygone conversations. You hear a remembered conversation of, I'm not ready to go yet, please, I need more time. And assurance that, no, don't worry, it's not your time yet. You hear you hear whispered you hear whispers of, I Tyus, is something, there's something in the house. I keep hearing screaming. No, there's nothing there. Go back to sleep. You get this settling feeling of haze over your mind, not your own, but almost an illusion of just a complete lull of sense. And what you just said rings through your own head like a bell. A moment just before death.
You couldn't move. You were struggling to breathe, struggling to think. And everything they were saying with the gas, they were making sure you didn't worry, didn't trail back into thinking things as they were. They were using you like an object, Memoir. They had you at the point where you thought you were already dead, didn't you?
There is a very, very quiet, very short laugh. And that smile is gone, but he is no longer looking at you, Lynn. His eyes are focused on the trees out the window, on the sky just above them. He's drumming his fingers against his knee and he starts talking. I couldn't move of my own volition. By about 3 days in, I was almost, if not completely, paralyzed. The most I could do was move my hands, and that all went into reading. By 5 days in, I couldn't think. I couldn't think long enough to hold up a conversation. It was hard enough to try and keep any thought in my head for more than 5 minutes that after a few days of being like that, I just gave up trying. I couldn't feel anything. I was hot and it was cold all the time, and I couldn't breathe. But I didn't need to. There was something in me that was burning, keeping me alive, like I was burning my own blood as fuel. He turns his hand over and taps his fingers against each other, listening to the soft clink as the as the porcelain and ceramic meet. I was nothing. I wasn't at a point before death. I was at a point beyond it, and no one had the sense to tell my body. I was at a point beyond it, and no one had the good sense to send me off to the afterlife. No one had the good sense to let me know I could rest. I was sitting there for days. The only thing I could do was answer their questions. The only thing I could do was absorb the information they wanted. And he kind of leans forward, almost doubles forward, and laughs a sharp, painful sound. It sounds like if a crow was being strangled. They killed me. They fucking killed me. They fucking killed me. They killed me and pulled information out of my corpse and stuffed more information in for weeks. They killed me and I was stuck and I couldn't do anything. I was alive, but I couldn't think. I couldn't feel, I couldn't move, I could barely breathe. My heart was beating, but I was dead and I had been for a while. I thought that clock was winding down to when it would be over, when whatever was left of me could stop haunting that fucking archive and finally rest, but it wasn't. It wasn't. It was counting down to when you lot all came. And you did come, and you brought me out of there, and you thought you'd done so well. You thought you'd saved me. You brought me back, and I agreed with you. I thought you had brought me back, but you didn't. You brought back a body and put something wrong inside. And he is laughing hysterically at this point. You brought a corpse out of that archive that still had a heartbeat somehow, and you shoved something back into it that had no business being there. And that can't quite find a way to sit right, and I have to live with it. You did come. You came for me and brought me out of there and put something else, some fucked up mess of 8 people sharing one heart, one mind, one set of eyes, one body back in me, and you thought you'd brought me back. You thought I was back, but I wasn't, because the me that you knew was dead. And she'd been dead for a while.
Oh, kiddo. And therein lies the heart of all of this. You came back, changed. The person who was hurt, the person who had the crimes committed, you don't feel like that one. You were brought back hurt and broken and not the person you once were. You came back different with so much in your head, and I can tell some days it's hard to tell where you end and where these others begin. 8-way shattered mirror.
Fucking hate mirrors.
I know. I know. It's you were changed, and you have come back different. Like Decimal, in a way. I won't go into his story, but he was changed drastically in his great ordeal the first time. And I myself also was. when I was taken. When the being of my nightmares took me, they broke me and they forced something in that I will never be able to get rid of. I am a champion detective. And you are the archive you consumed, and this ate. We are not just that. You can find a way to reconcile all of this.
Lynn, roll insight.
Will do.
Hmm?
Rolling insight. Rolling insight. 23.
He doesn't answer, but you can feel that he is frustrated. Not frustrated in that he doesn't want to hear what you're saying, but frustrated in that sense of, no, you're not hearing me, no, you don't get it.
It's not the side about justice for Lethe. It's not about. Oh no, I am. This eight-sided mirror, no, this is something else, isn't it? I'm close. You know I'm close, I'm just not getting across this final thread.
I don't get it. It's not. I don't know how I would possibly explain is the problem. It's not your fault you're not getting it. I don't get it, but I have to live with it, and you have
And show me.
no idea what it's like just seeing through my eyes every day.
And show me. And she extends her left arm. Show me through your eyes, Memoir. Let me see.
He looks at her. He looks at her and thinks and frowns. And he almost looks like he's going to say no. Because he knows you. And he knows some things that you haven't told anyone. And he doesn't want to risk treading on certain ground. But he also knows how much it would have to mean to you in order for you to offer. And he also knows he doesn't have another way of making himself heard. So he just blows out a puff of air through his teeth and frowns and says, "Fine. Don't say I didn't warn you." He takes her hand, and his touch is gentle. He's always gentle with others. But the porcelain that makes up his arms, his hands, is cold. And Lynn, you blink, and you are no longer you. Or no, you're still you, but you are seeing and feeling and thinking through the mind of someone else. You are seeing and thinking and feeling through the mind of, well, what should be memoir, but what isn't. You you see yourself from the outside, and you see yourself from the perspective of someone who loves you as a partner, from the perspective of someone who loves you as an aunt, from the perspective of someone who loves you as a sister, from someone who loves you as a friend, from someone who kind of can't stand you but does deeply respect you, from all of these perspectives, from the perspective of someone who sees you as someone to love and protect as family, from the perspective of someone who sees you and knows you and understands you the way you understand your own reflection in a mirror. You, through this connection, are not memoir. You are all at once. You are Lachesis. You are Renesmee. You are Lonnie. You are Chrono. You are all of these people all at once. You are so many different yous. There are 8 different perspectives, all vying for attention, all vying for dominance, all giving input at the same time. There's no sense of being in control, no sense of being in the driver's seat. There's no sense of one person, one mind, one perspective having control over everything. Instead, it's just constant input that leads to a growing storm of just complication and confusion and input and information and memory. And it's intensely overwhelming and impossible to keep straight. Even in this place that is safe, that is grounded, that is the one thing that keeps your head together, is that this place is safe and grounded. Looking at you, looking at Lynn, it's blinding, because there is the part that looks at Lynn and sees someone who is seen as a sister. There is the part that looks at Lynn and sees someone who is family, sees someone who is a friend, sees someone who is a partner, sees someone who is an enemy, sees someone who is a target, sees someone who is a bitter memory. There is so much. It's almost like you have seen how memoir writes in Echo. You have seen what an Echo name is. It's layers upon layers of an Echo name orbiting around you like a halo. Or no, not like a halo. Like you are a sun and this is your solar system, and it's all of these concepts that are attached to you. And the issue is trying to figure out which ones are the most important, which ones are the ones that apply to this version of you. It feels distinctly airy, distinctly indistinct, ungrounded, loose, confusing, and completely without order.
I am going to roll 2 things. Okay. That's actually vaguely amusing.
Hmm?
Could would this being that Lynn is looking through in this mind meld, would memoir like to roll me an insight check?
Absolutely, because that means I get to do more flavor.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit, okay. We take that.
Mm-hmm.
22.
Marvelous. Oh, The first point of reference you're getting is all of these iterations likely know what Lynn going into fray looks like. As through all of this, you do hear the sound of her outline tearing. As she does go up fray points. Because her con roll was a bit shit.
Oh god.
That was an 8.
Lynn,
And
honey.
I tell you this, I rolled Lynn's investigation. No, I rolled an investigation for this, and I rolled it at disadvantage. And she got on the dice 18 both times.
Holy shit,
So,
Lynn.
indeed. And so with that, that is an 18 plus 6. That is a 24. These many iterations, but no, not just iterations, are they? But through these eyes, they all see Lynn buckle but keep her grip, and she looks in severe pain as you see those fray lines jump and scratch. And then it's almost interesting because, Memoir, you have been seeing through all this that Lynn was calm, dignified in a way that she isn't usually, and then you see her focus and look at you directly in the eyes, and her vision sharpens. You know you're looking at not Lynn, but Detective Stagehand, who, to our audience, Lynn has been through incredible amounts. This is something I don't say, but part of Lynn's nightmares, the thing left their mark in Lynn is far older than she seems now, with hundreds of years of the thing's greatest achievements, their hunts and slaughters. So she knows incomprehensibility, she knows chaos, she knows splitting. But this is different to that, and you know Detective Stagehand as someone who knows patterns, who knows connections, who knows threads, who knows jumping between topics to find how they link and connect and work and run. You see her looking at you and finding how it all fits. Connections are chaos, after all. She can find the links. In a way, I guess, something of a pillar.
Initially, at that sound of Lynn's outline tearing, at that initial, moment where she's in a lot of pain, Memoir immediately moves to pull away.
Mm-hmm.
Were it not for, her insistently maintaining her grip, he would have pulled away because hurting someone he cares about is the last thing he ever wants to do. But you by maintaining this connection, by seeing yourself through Memoir's eyes, you see all of the different ways that insight check of 22 manifests itself.
Mm-hmm.
You see the way Del Rio would analyze it, analyzing your body language, picking up on the slight sharpening to your gaze, the slight stiffening to your shoulders. You see the moment of familiarity that both Lonnie and Renesmee have. You see this. You feel the slight tension coming from Lachesis. You sense all of the ways that these different iterations, who aren't in iterations, they aren't individual personalities. You understand that now. They are all the same person, but they are the same person shattered across so many stories. They
And
share
she's got
they share a mind, they share memories, they share a story, and that is memoir. That is the person you know, the person you've spoken to, is the convergence point between all of them, the one who has all of their experiences and who knows them. They are not alternate personalities, they are not separate minds within his own. It's one mind seen through 1,000 lenses. Or rather, 8 specific lenses.
And she grits her teeth and weathers through it all, just as she is wont to do. And it clicks. She thinks she gets this. She knows what this is. And she's going to wait until it's almost fully over. And it's the first time she's moved since getting up here, in that she does tug herself forward. And it's not the sitting side saddle prim and proper, it's coming forward to lean in closer. And it's placing her other hand on him. And it's so much, but as it's all coming in, you see her come to a conclusion. She just goes, they, yes, they are all you. You are a summary of them. There is a center to all of this. This isn't 8, this is a summary, this is a constant. You are constant.
Lynn, roll
You are
perception.
constant.
Roll me perception.
I'm rolling perception. This is the perfect time that this could have happened.
Oh.
Nat 20. Take it away, Whirlybird!
You feel the reaction to that before you see it. Not just in that you feel Memoir stiffen under your hand, not just in the way you see his eyes go slightly round and you see his expression go just a bit blank, but in the way that it feels like if you stood inside of a stringed guitar, like an acoustic guitar, I mean. If you stood inside the hollow of that instrument as all of its strings were pulled at once. Or if you stood in the middle while an orchestra was tuning and heard all of the instruments finally reach the point where they were perfectly in tuned. It's that moment that goes through your entire body. It's not quite a shake, it's not quite a thrum, it's something else. It's a click, and it's a pulse, and it's so many feelings, and it's ultimately a feeling of Lynn, you're a detective. You
Mm-hmm.
have had moments of having that light bulb moment, that moment of, oh my god, I finally got it.
Yep.
And you have had moments where you've been able to do that reveal, when you've been able to share how you got the details of the case with the people you were doing the case on, and you look at them and you get that look in their eyes, and you know, yes, you finally got it. And you have that feeling now of just as though the story, the world itself was setting its hands on your shoulders and saying, yes, monkey, yes! Yes, you get it! You got it! You get that feeling for a split second. And you look at Memoir, who is not Memoir. Well, he is. That's what he calls himself. That's what everyone else calls him, but this is Constant.
Very, very gently, she takes her hands from where one has been in his grasp and one has been on his shoulder, and she cups his head gently and then just comes up and kisses him on the forehead, and just under her breath so that he can hear just goes, "Hello, Constant. Welcome home."
And she can feel the feathers that that kind of grow behind his ears twitch. She can feel when he starts being able to express again, and just she feels tears hitting her hands.
Oh, bless you, kiddo. You're okay. You're okay. I've got you. I've got you. You're here. You're here. And now you know who you are.
He kind of laughs very weakly and just very, very quietly. You really are good at finding people, huh?
It's my role. For now, at least. And hey, I'm happy to find you.
His feathers all kind of just ruffle up at once, and he's still crying, but there's a smile, and he's just, I don't know why that affects me so much. Hmm. Would you kindly not tell anyone else that? I trust you to have this kind of ability to make me fall apart, but I want to be the one to choose who else I trust with that.
She pulls back from you slightly, still cupping your face, and there is Detective Stagehand melting back into Lynn. And her expression is so warm. That's the word that comes to mind as she just goes, "I won't tell anyone. This is yours. This is yours. Yeah. This is yours."
Thank you.
Anytime, kiddo.
And Lynn, you are being pulled into a hug.
Yeah, she is wrapping herself around him as well. Yes. Yeah, you're getting tucked close, kiddo. TikTok, you are getting curled up so close.
And I believe that is where we zoom out, yes?
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you, Be Wild, for playing with me. That was an emotional roller coaster.
Cracked open a bird and we found an answer.
You found part of one at any rate.
Yeah. Now we just gotta research the rest eventually.
Yep. Have a good evening, everybody. Goodbye, listeners.
Bye-bye.